intro, and welcome everyone to our session this evening. As always, it is a great pleasure to spend this evening with you, giving you a session about our products and how they can help in your life or the life of those in your circle of influence. It's my pleasure, as always. My name is Betty Oloo, coming to you from Pretoria and welcoming you very much, whether you are here on our continent or you are in other parts of the world. You are very welcome. And I hope that today's session is going to be of great use to you in a personal level to improve and maintain your health, and also in your team or in your circle of influence, your family, friends, and so on. So as you will have seen from your invitation, today my session is going to be about type 2 diabetes. As you may know, diabetes is of two kinds. You have got type 1, which tends to be genetic and is thought to be autoimmune. And then you've got type 2 diabetes that develops over time. Unfortunately, previously we used to say that type 2 diabetes was adult onset, that it only affected people as they grew older. But today we find that even young children can develop type 2 diabetes. And so it is of great importance that we educate ourselves on this illness, and we try to make sure that we eradicate it, especially because, as we'll see, it's not an illness that just affects you in one way. It progressively robs you of very many other things, and the quality of your life progressively deteriorates. So just to introduce, type 2 diabetes is a metabolic illness where the sugar management system in our body becomes damaged. So sugar, as you know, is the fuel that we burn in order to produce energy to use in our bodies. And it is carefully managed by the body. We get the fuel from the food that we eat, carbohydrate type of food, and this is digested and absorbed as sugar, and then the sugar is taken to different parts of the body to be the fuel to drive all the processes that require energy in our body. Everything from thinking to growing to working to exercising, all these things require fuel, and the fuel that we use is sugar. The carbohydrate foods that we eat will eventually be broken down in the process of digestion and will be converted into this sugar, glucose, that we are going to use as fuel. So when this system is damaged, we find that it triggers the destruction of our tissues, and especially the tissues which have got small blood vessels. For example, the eyes and the kidney. And those organs have got those small blood vessels because they've got a high blood supply because of the intricate and delicate nature of function that they perform for our body. You can imagine what your eyes do for you, the things you are able to see, the way you are able to perceive things just through these two small organs on your face. Then you think about something like the kidney that does so much work in making sure that anything that is not good in your body is eliminated. So these are some of the places where diabetes is going to attack. So I would say, I want to go on by saying that a normal healthy body has a very efficient energy management system. And there are two organs which play an important role in this system. They cooperate with the brain, the fuel that is coming from our digestive circulatory system to all the cells in the body. Now, the system either decides to use the fuel immediately when it is supplied, or if we have no great need for it, then it also has got a storage mechanism that puts away the sugar so that it can be used in future when there is food scarcity. So this system manages sugar in a very narrow range of between 80 and 140 milligrams of sugar per deciliter of blood. The two organs, as you might have guessed, are the liver and the pancreas. So the liver is well known, is a large organ in our abdomen. The pancreas is smaller, and it is intimately connected inside our abdomen in connection with our our digestive system. So it is a separate organ, but has got a very close connection with the intestines. So then, the liver works when we are not eating. That is, in between meals, when we are not taking in any food, this is when the liver performs its work in energy management. What it does is that it stores a certain amount of sugar, not a lot, but a certain amount. And when we are not eating and we need energy, what the liver will do is release this stored sugar into the bloodstream so that it can supply us with the fuel that we need for whatever it is we need. If that sugar has been released and there's still a need, then the liver will send out instruction to the fatty tissues of our body so that these fatty tissues release the fat, and this fat can then be converted into fuel, which we can use. So when we are not eating, or our system does not have food within it, we do not starve and collapse. We know that we get hungry, but even if we don't eat, we still will be able to go on because the liver is able to swing into action and release the sugar that it has in storage, or release fat from fatty tissues, which can then be used by us. Then the second organ, the pancreas, works when we are actually eating. So as comes in and is digested and absorbed, which is insulin, which manages from our gut. And being absorbed from the gut can always be a need, because even at any moment there's energy. So the sugar, some of it will be stored, as we said, in the liver, or if there is no great need and the sugar is plenty, it will be stored as fat in the fatty tissues. So during the eating process, the pancreas is the one in charge of making sure that the sugar that is absorbed from our food is directed to where it needs to be, either for use as fuel or to be sent into storage to be used at another time. So if our diet supplies much more energy than we need, then the excess energy will be converted into fat. But if we keep on doing this, of course, our fat deposits are going to keep on increasing, and this can lead to great weight gain and eventually leads to obesity. And also it can cause some damage to the liver, as well as causing illnesses to do with the heart and the blood vessels. This is why we are always cautioned about obesity and excessive weight gain, because it leads to other problems. But what causes this system of energy management to fail, so that we end up with obesity, we end up with diabetes and these kinds of illnesses? The first thing is that if our diet is high in refined sugar and refined carbohydrates, then it overtaxes the pancreas. So the pancreas has got to keep on managing this continuous influx of carbohydrates into the system. And it is very rapid, because things like refined sugar and refined carbohydrates get digested and absorbed very fast. And the speed at which this happens means that the pancreas is continuously hard at work trying to keep the blood, the sugar that is coming from the carbohydrates going into the correct places. As we said, there are three destinations. If there is a need for energy, some of it goes there. If there is still excess, some goes into storage in the liver. A small amount goes into the storage in the liver, and the greater amount goes into storage in the fatty tissues. So that is the first reason why the system is going to fail, because the pancreas is going to get overworked. It has to continue producing hormone, this hormone, insulin specifically. And unfortunately, the more of this insulin is circulating in the system, the more the cells become resistant to it. So it becomes so much. The cells, is as if the cells are now saying, no, we have enough sugar, we don't need any more just now. So the cells refuse to absorb the sugar that the blood is bringing to it, because they don't need it. And so this sugar remains in the blood, and that is why the illness is called diabetes mellitus. This excess sugar will then have to be passed out of the body through the kidney because the cells have refused to use it since they don't need it. It is accumulating in the blood, which is dangerous. So alarms are going off in our body saying there's too much sugar in our blood, there's too much sugar in our blood, we need to take it out. And the only option that is left in that case is to remove it through the kidney. But the kidney should not be doing the work of sugar management. The kidney is supposed to be an excretory organ that is removing harmful things. So the more it deals with sugar, the more that sugar itself damages the kidney. And this is why we are saying that one of the organs that get damaged by a diabetic system is the kidney, because it now ends up being the one trying to do a job which is not actually supposed to be its job. So that is the first point of the system failure. The next one is a sedentary lifestyle. We have seen that the first place where sugar is sent is to provide energy. However, if we have a sedentary job where we spend all our days sitting down, we hardly move, we do not have much activity in our life, we park as near the office as possible, and we drive everywhere, it means that our physical use of energy is very little. Sometimes our job can be very mentally challenging and demanding, but that is only one organ that is using the sugar energy. The rest of the skeleton will be remaining still the whole day if we are sedentary. This means that the supply of energy is going to be much more than the demand when we are sedentary. And since our bodies evolved as moving organisms, we are supposed to be moving for the majority of our day. During daylight hours, we are supposed to have been moving up and down, looking for food, processing our foods, looking after our families, running away from predators. All these were supposed to be part and parcel of our daily life. We did not evolve in a sedentary lifestyle. So because of this, it means that if we are still eating and we are sedentary, of course, the energy demands are going to be much less, and the energy supply is going to be high. And this means that we are further taxing the system. Like, it's as if we are adding more and more fuel. Even after the tank is full, the fuel is now pouring. If it's a car, the fuel is pouring in the boot, it's pouring on the ground, it's pouring in the seats, it's everywhere. Of course, it means that much damage is going to be done by such a system. So that is why one of the things that we have to do in managing our energy system is to exercise or to incorporate activity in our day so that we make use of the energy that we would be storing in large amounts. Then as this process carries on, that we are slowly deteriorating, what happens is that the body becomes progressively non-responsive to the hormone insulin, and then we are going to develop what is called prediabetes. So prediabetes develops because we do not arrest this spiral of damage to our energy productions, to our fuel production system. And if we do nothing about it, then prediabetes is going to develop into full-blown diabetes. The symptoms of prediabetes will come slowly, and then they'll come very quickly. You know, sometimes something is happening slowly. We notice a few things happening here and there, and then suddenly it escalates very fast. It's not that it has happened suddenly, it's that it has been happening slowly, and we have not been taking any care to deal with it. And then now things go wrong very fast. So what will then happen is that we'll start developing symptoms like, for example, chronic candida or thrush infection. Those chronic fungal infections, they can be in the mouth, they can be in the private parts. We notice that we keep on going to the chemist to get something to deal with the candida infection. That is a warning sign. Then another one is excessive thirst. This means that things are now getting quite bad. When we notice that we are always thirsty and we are frequently urinating, we should not take it as just another new development. These are warning signs that are telling us that we need to check if our sugar management system is actually functioning correctly, because this is something that is actually possible to reverse. Then we also know that a number of health issues are linked with the failure of our sugar management system. For example, again, I mentioned chronic kidney disease. A lot of times, this is where it originates from. And you may be wondering if you are hearing more and more people being diagnosed with chronic kidney disease. One of the major origins of chronic kidney disease is this damaged sugar management system. The other one, of course, as I mentioned, is obesity, is also linked to this. Failing eyesight can be for different reasons, and this is one of them. Leg sores, which fail to heal, can be as a result of a damaged sugar management system. And also certain kinds of dementia have been linked to progressing diabetes. So this tells us that diabetes is not only going to affect our energy system, it's going to affect our kidneys, which means it's affecting our excretory system, because the kidney is a major organ for excretion. And then, of course, we are also going to have problems with our eyesight. And you may also know people who have had to have their legs amputated because they have got sores which have failed to heal and are becoming very, very problematic and leading to systemic infections. So for this reason, this is why we talk about this specific illness as a standalone topic, because it is becoming an epidemic in the world, and especially here on our continent, where we know that in many countries, the ability to actually, for our medical systems to deal with the problems of diabetes is quite limited, which means that we should be very proactive in managing this problem before it becomes so serious that we now need hospitalization or continuous medical care. So the first thing I want to mention in this section about points to note is that people of African origin, such as myself and many of us who are on this call, tend to be almost twice as likely to develop diabetes as compared to other races, for example, the Caucasians, if we have got a high content of refined carbohydrates in our diet. So we may be eating the same amount as other people of other races, but they may be able to sustain their health, whereas we would develop a breakdown in our sugar management system. It means that our systems are more poorly equipped to deal with a large influx of refined carbohydrates, which means we need to be even more careful, in addition to which often our countries do not have the facilities to take care of a chronic illness like diabetes, which progressively makes us sicker and sicker. Then the available treatment of diabetes will help, for example, in managing the sugar, the levels of sugar in the blood, but it is not going to stop the progression of the disease itself. So the things that we are saying, for example, the cells being not responsive to insulin, for example, the damage that is taking place in some of these organs will continue. It might slow down, but it is going to continue, which means that we cannot just ignore and say, yeah, I'll go to the doctor and he's going to treat me. No, it's going to be a continuous treatment with an illness that is continuously getting worse. So let us turn our attention to Neolife and what we have to offer. And this is one of the things which should make us very proud and very energetic in educating people about what Neolife has got to offer. In this particular case of diabetes, we have got three core products that we recommend for diabetes. And then we've got other additional ones that we can add on to support the system. The first one is Botanical Balance, which is a combination of herbal remedies which have been researched and developed and shown to promote proper regulation of blood sugar. So the Botanical Balance is at the head of this. It deals directly with the problem of regulating the blood sugar. And then the next one is TreeNN. TreeNN is one of our flagship products, which has been there for very many years. And the fact that we are still using it today as a core supplement is a testimony to its quality and its effectiveness. So 3NN maintains the health of our cells through maintaining a healthy cell membrane. And this helps our cells to regain their sensitivity to insulin. Remember, we say that as the problem of diabetes continues, the cells begin to refuse to respond to insulin. So by having healthy cell membranes, we are going to make the cells more responsive as they should be. And the cells will be able to excrete any metabolic wastes and absorb what they need. So 3NN is the second very important product we recommend. And then the third one are the fiber tablets. This can be either fiber tablets or it can be the other fiber products like the multi-fiber blend and so on. So this supplements the fiber we should be getting in our diet. And the way it works is that it slows down the speed at which the refined carbohydrates are absorbed as sugar into our system. So it gives our system time to deal with the sugar by slowing down the rate at which it gets into our blood circulatory system. Then other products that we add on are omega-3 salmon oil, which improves the functioning of the pancreatic cells. Remember the organ, the pancreas. So when those cells are overworked and not coping, omega-3 is going to help in improving their function. And then another product that I can also add is multimineral alfalfa, which is going to support our liver and our kidney in their function, and thereby help us in these different approaches to help each member of the system to do better. But remember that the supplements are supplements. A supplement is not a replacement. So if we continue with the lifestyle that got us into the problem, the supplements are going to not be able to supplement because they are supposed to supplement our own efforts. If we are making no efforts, we should not blame the products. So the products are supposed to supplement our effort and make our effort go further into regaining our health. So on the personal side, therefore, we need to educate our clients and ourselves also about the importance of our dietary choices. Number one, we should go back to our traditional foods, which are minimally processed, because these ones, as you know, diabetes is something that has not been with us for very many years. I remember I'm in my late 50s now. When I was young, I think in the area where I grew up, there was only one person we had ever heard of who had what we call the disease of sugar. And now we know so many people who have got this problem, so many people who have had complications to do with diabetes, to do with kidney disease, and so on. So the first place where we can assist ourselves in regaining health is looking especially at the kind of carbohydrates that we take in. We should replace the refined carbohydrates in our diet with minimally processed carbohydrates. For example, we've got a large amount of healthy carbohydrates in our traditional food arsenal that we can exchange and make use of. Things like arrowroots, things like sweet potatoes, things like whole grains, which we take to the posher mill to grind, things like legumes, the beans and the peas and all that family of foods. And we've got lots of different fruits and vegetables that we can incorporate in our diet, thereby ensuring that we are not overtaxing our sugar management system. All these minimally processed foods are excellent because they get processed slowly and the system is able to send out what is absorbed at a steady pace rather than at a dramatic pace as happened with the refined carbohydrates. Then we should also incorporate activity in our lifestyle. It does not mean that we have to join a gym. If we can join a gym, all well and good, but we can walk more, we can do more chores, we can take up some sports, maybe in the community. And in any case, we can try to avoid spending prolonged periods sitting down and not moving. And another thing we can do is, unless we are sick or we are younger people, we should reduce meal frequency. We should not be eating continuously, because all this eating means that the body has to continuously be digesting and absorbing. We should look at spacing out our meals and not eating between meals. So one habit, and we end up being continuously as we start having see how we can govern our eating. You remember also in former days, we used to have maybe 2 or 3 meals per day, and we did not eat between meals. The idea of snack foods is a fairly new one, and it is not serving us well in many cases. So we should assess our meal frequency and see how to adjust it so that our system has got breaks in between meals in which to use the stored food. And then, of course, the last thing I want to make, the point I want to make, because I see my time is up, is that we should minimize or eliminate the urge to eat sweet tasting things. So if we see that we have a sugar craving, it should be a warning to us that we are headed in a wrong metabolic road. We should, sometimes we are told to use artificial sweeteners, but as long as we are craving sweets, we are going to end up eating things which have got refined carbohydrates in them. So rather to start training ourselves to minimize the amount of sweet tasting things in our diet so that our minds, we stop having that impulse to crave sugary things in our food. I see that my time is up. I want to thank you very much for your attention. It has been of benefit to you, and that you in your own life or influence. As you know, in our business, we are always making an effort to go out there and make the world a healthier and a happier place, as we also make more money. In our success means that by doing this, we are going to become financially free as well. And on that note, on the side of becoming financially free and building a network of people business people who use the products, maintaining their health and building up an excellent society, I want to hand you over to Pascal, who is going to take you through the next session. And I wish you all the best in the month of July in all that you're hoping to achieve. Thank you very much.